And that's when it took me almost 7 full days to start to feel halfway good. My mind was still racing, and my soul was just totally drained. And then, as you would have it happen, out of the blue, my daughter calls me from California, and she says, well, Dad, my mom and I were supposed to go to the Smokies, and we were going to spend a week there together, and then I was to see them last Friday as they drove through Bloomington on their way to the airport, but her mother got very ill and was hospitalized, and so Aaron said, well, I'm going to come on anyway. Now that was fine, but it wasn't something that I planned on. And so I had a 5-day visit with my daughter, which was very enjoyable, but it was very enjoyable. Well, my daughter, we get along just fine, and we really do. And then after about a week, we're ready to say goodbye for another 3 or 4 months. Well, then 2 of our 3 vehicles broke down to complicate matters even more. Then I was hit with what will be about a surprise to me, a total surprise to me, about $1,000 worth of unexpected bills. No, not late taxes, we're good on all of that. And then to top it off, this week, aside from my regular church responsibilities, I have countless, and it just so happens this is the week, I have countless hours of social service work that I have to do, I'm obliged to, starting on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then sometimes Saturday, and at the same time, of course, I'll be engaged in my regular work here. So consequently, far from being rested or refreshed and renewed, I have more on my plate this week than I had during Holy Week, and I'm still not in the least bit refreshed. Now, no, I'm not, Andrew, don't bring out the violin for me, because I'm not interested in that. I'm just saying that these surprises fell in my lap. And so then I have to ask the question, how in the world am I going to deal with all the work that I have to do, and unfortunately, the attendant stress that comes with all of that. And I deal fairly well with stress because we have 2 dogs I can kick. But no, I wouldn't kick them. So I had to ask the question, and I started asking the question last week, and how am I going to take care of all this stress that's in my life and all of this? I really have a lot to do, and I'm not complaining, but it's just one of those perfect storms just happened upon me. So the answer that I discovered, and I looked for, I might add, is that I turned inward and I turned to Scripture, and I asked God to help me and to guide me through the next 7 days, and specifically what I've done so far and turned to and studied and meditated upon in the 23rd Psalm. Now obviously what I'm doing is, so if you find yourself in straits like I find myself in this week and probably early next week, perhaps you would want to turn to the 23rd Psalm. And more importantly, what I've done in this psalm and what I would expect everyone to do is to take it personally. Take the psalm personally, and I'll show you what I mean by that in just a minute. This is to say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and allow Jesus to pastor me. And I'm going to allow, as much as I can, Jesus to be my shepherd. And I'm going to allow, as much as I can possibly allow that, which may not be a whole lot, to follow his direction. Because it turns out, when I read this psalm personally, what I discover is that the Lord is my shepherd. No doubt he's everyone else's shepherd too, I don't doubt that, but he is my shepherd. And he knows my name, and he calls me personally. He says, David. That is my name. And the Good Shepherd calls me by name, David. And I follow my shepherd. Truth be known, having my name called and knowing that the Lord is my shepherd should be, and for most of the time, is enough for me. And when it's enough for me, I don't need anything. I don't need anything I shall not want. I happen to like very, very much the 4th chapter in Philippians, where it seems to me Paul has got the 23rd Psalm out, and he says, I know what it means to be in need. I know what it means to not have anything. I know what it means to be hungry. I know what it means to be full. I know what it means. And because I am in Jesus Christ, that is the Good Shepherd, I can achieve all things. And that's sort of, it seems to me, this almost the superscription to the 23rd Psalm. That the Lord is my shepherd, he knows my name, and I don't need anything. And that should be enough. But unfortunately for me, it isn't. So God makes David, well, no. God through Jesus Christ is trying to make David, that's the best way to put it, to lie down where? In green pastures, in lush meadows. To just relax. Don't sweat the little things. Don't sweat the big things. Just relax. I say this with some humor. Jesus is trying his best to make me lie down in green pastures. But my wife knows this. Sometimes, very rarely, I'm stubborn. And, very rarely I'm stubborn and have to have my way. And I'm always reluctant. I'm always reluctant to be taken care of. I don't like that. I don't. And no, it's not because I have a John Wayne complex of rugged individualism. I just don't like being taken care of. You know, let somebody else be taken. I don't like that. It's embarrassing for me, and it's not who I am. And I've often said, I'm paid to work, not to lie down in green pastures. But Jesus is going to make me lie down, slow down, so that he can restore my soul. That's the way your soul is restored. You know, you don't, well, anyway, that's the way your soul is restored. This Jesus does by leading me beside still waters, and you know the whole story about the sheep, but it is instructive. The sheep carry this burden, and that's their coat that they wear. And the metaphor would be, think of the burdens that you carry. Think of the burdens that you carry in your life. And sometimes they begin to weight you down. Anyway, what the sheep does is the Good Shepherd makes sure to take it to still waters for its refreshment and nourishment, because if it comes to running waters, the burdens, that is the fleece that it's carrying, the coat that it's carrying, can sometimes sweep it away. And sometimes when we get caught up in all of our work and caught up in all of our needs and caught up in all of our exhaustion, then we're not thinking about taking the nourishment where we're supposed to, and we forget to let Jesus guide us. And so sometimes we end up rushing into waters that we really have no business being near. And so what I need to do, and I'm trying to do, is to follow my Good Shepherd's direction and to back away from the rushings of responsibilities and those things that, frankly, I'm smart enough to know will threaten to swamp me and, in fact, hurt me. Because when we get overworked, did I say underpaid? When we get overworked or work too much, then we open our lives to frustration And when we open our lives to frustration, we open up our hearts to anger. And when we open up our hearts to anger, then we say and do things that we would regret.